Alright, it's time to talk about the Moondrop Void headphones. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. Now, I did a kind of semi-review of the original Moondrop Void headphones, but shortly after that, or shortly before that I should say, they were recalled. They went back to the drawing board for a bit of a revision. Now, I'll tell you right away, that revision didn't really change much in the sound, but it did change the quality of the plastics a little bit. It did remove some of the clackiness that the ear cups had before. Let's start with the price. The price is $199. Same price as the first model. Inside here, you've got 50mm high-performance dynamic drivers. And although they've been revised, honestly, you'd have a hard time telling just from looking at them. Now, in my first video, I was pretty critical of the Void, but I've kind of had a change of heart, or I've grown to kind of appreciate them a lot more for some reason. We'll get to all that and the reasons why soon enough, but let's go back to the build. Look, when you first pick them up, they're very light and they are plastic, which is probably why you get this impression that they don't feel very premium or they feel a bit cheap. But actually, this is really good quality plastic. To put it in context, just imagine that these are made of Lego plastic. If you have ever owned a Lego set, you know that shit lasts for, that can last a lifetime. Yes, it is plastic, but it is durable as hell. And in terms of physical design, it's actually very practical. I mean, look, it's very similar to the Sennheiser HD650, and I think it'd be pretty safe to say that they've probably taken some inspiration from these. Wait, let's get the right sides. I mean, look at it. Although these Sennies have the plush velour ear pads, the Void has this kind of it's probably faux leather. It's leatherette, and at first, when you take it out of the box, it's a little bit firm. It's a bit stiff, but over time, it softens up quite nicely. And I know that because I've been using these on my desktop for like 2 months already. Like I said, I should have done this review ages ago, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know what to say, and as time went by, they just stayed on my desk. And another reason was because I kept using the damn things. So look, they might make a bit of noise when you hold them, but when they're on your head, they don't make a sound. There's no creaking, there's no rattling when they're on your ears. These ear pads are quite comfortable. I don't feel any pressure points. The clamping force is fairly light. So really, there's nothing to complain about the build. I think they look cool too. Like, they've got this kind of Star Wars thing going on, in my opinion, and I reckon that's cool as hell. And one more thing before I forget, I want to just show you how easy it is to remove these ear pads. How about that? That is, despite what people are saying about poor build quality, really, check that out. That is what I'm calling, that is satisfying, man. That is really good. So don't be too harsh on them. I don't recall if I showed this in the first video, but this is the cable. The cable is unchanged. It's a braided fabric, has a braided fabric sheath on it, and it's pretty good. It's decent. Doesn't have any microphonics issues. It handles quite well. No complaints there. Although I was provided the Moondrop Line V upgrade cable, and I will admit I've been using this cable for the most part because it's really, really nice. And not only that, but when I'm using this cable, I think the clarity and the detail improves just a little bit. The stage sort of not really gets any bigger, but the stage becomes more organized and the placement becomes a little more precise. So really nice cable there. But the sound, you say, you want to know how these sound, and look, everybody says that the mids are thick and they've got veil, and the trebles, soft, and there's not much detail. Hello? Are we talking about the HD 650s here? Are we talking about the Void? Look, actually, we'll do this. We'll do it like this. The Moondrop Void has a very similar bass response to the HD 650. It might even be a bit tighter, a little bit faster and cleaner. But in terms of quantity, it's about the same. Then you get to the mid-range, and in the mids, the Void has actually a little bit more vocal clarity than the HD 650 here. And the HD 650, going on 20 years, people love these, and I know why, because I love them too. So, clearer in the mids. In the treble, well, in the upper mid-range, they're a little bit more forward, a little bit more upfront in the upper mids. So, they're not shouty at all, but you kind of get a little bit more push, especially for female vocals. It's not as linear and even as the HD 650. It's a little bit more clarity there, a little bit more forwardness and slight amount of brightness, but not a whole lot. I would still consider the overall sound signature to be fairly warm for the Void. And then in the treble is probably where these two are the most similar. Like, they both have a kind of relaxed treble. It's nice and crisp, it's nice and clear, but it's fairly laid back in a sense. It not dull or dark, but just calm and relaxed kind of treble. It's not one that's sibilant. Well, having said that, the Void does, like, if you're listening to a song that's recorded, like if it's a sibilant recording, it's going to show up a little bit more in the Void than it does on the HD 650s. But for the most part, the treble in the Void is pretty similar. It's nice and calm. So with that in mind, and the amount that I've been using these, like I've probably spent a couple of 100 hours with these headphones, and honestly, they're very comfortable. The soundstage isn't that wide, even though it's an open back, but the same could be said about the HD 650. The soundstage isn't massive or expansive, but it's probably a bit wider than your average closed back headphone, but don't expect some massive soundstage. However, the imaging is precise, the position, instrument and vocal positions are good, and it doesn't sound boxy or closed in. It sounds quite natural, and there's a nice stable center image and everything. So you know what? Overall, I think the Void, for a $200 headphone, I think it's doing pretty well. I keep comparing it with the HD 650 here because there are so many similarities. But you got to remember, the HD 650 it's about $130 or $140 more than the Void. This is a $200 headphone. Now, one could argue that something like the Beyerdynamic 770 or DT 770 or DT 990 Pro, etc., at about $50, $50 to $60, maybe $70 less, is a better deal. I would say, well, it depends what you want, because the Beyerdynamics are a little bit more V-shaped. They're a bit more energetic in the treble. They have generally a punchier, heavier bass. But these ones, I just think they haven't been appreciated as much as they deserve to be. And that's probably because people are expecting the Moondrop IEM kind of tuning, and they just don't have that. They've got, rather than that, they've got this fairly close to neutral tuning with just a tiny little bit of an upper mid-range boost. And the end result is a sound that is easygoing. You can listen to it all day long without feeling fatigue, although, like I did say, sibilant recordings will still sound sibilant, but for the most part, no harshness. You can turn these up. I've used them for editing videos. I've used them for gaming, music consumption, all that kind of stuff. Moondrop Void, $200. Look, you want some headphones, you want something kind of neutral, not if you can't be looking for that typical Moondrop IEM house sound. These don't have that. They're a bit different. And I think that's why they've been sort of bashed the way that they have. But in fact, I think these are actually a good headphone for that $200 price point. I think I've ranted long enough about these now, so I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. If you like the video, give it the old thumbs up, Parfam audiophile style, and until next time, I'll see you later.